Greetings, dear friends. In this video, I want to talk with you about the topic of suffering and love. That is, if after a breakup you continue to love the person and you are suffering. And unfortunately, there is a common misconception, such a misconception that the more you love a person, the more you love them in the relationship and continue to love them now, the more you will suffer. Look, it seems that love and suffering are two polar opposites. That is, here you find inspiration, here you feel joy, here is euphoria. But over here, when this is missing, when there is no object of love, that's where suffering appears. Love and hate are two polarities, right? There's just one step from love to hate. And just as easily from hate to love, right now I love you, but then you turn away from me. Ugh, forget you. I don't love you anymore. There are situations like that, right? Yes, they're quite common. Let's not get into that right now. I want to show you that suffering is over there and love is over here, or, here, wherever you wonder it is. But suffering, it's not love, and it shouldn't depend on love at all. What is suffering? Is resentment suffering? Guilt is suffering, fear is suffering, depression is suffering too. It's all suffering. When you're waiting, like, will they come, will they call, will they write, and you're just waiting for it. Waiting is also suffering. Some people start to feel an inner rush, like they have to do something, they have to make decisions. That feeling, along with anxiety, isn't that suffering too? You suffer from this, don't you? Loss of appetite, loss of sleep, loss of interest in work, or even in your usual interest, like, for example, losing interest in hobbies, losing the desire to communicate. In other words, I don't want to talk to anyone. Is that suffering? That can be considered suffering. What else can be considered suffering? Tension in the body. If you feel tension, either physically or mentally, that's also suffering. And it seems to you that all of this is because you love so much. Because at that moment, love also becomes much more intense. Why is that? Because your needs become heightened at that moment. And this person could satisfy those needs, or actually did satisfy them. Because there are relationships where the partner didn't meet your needs, he leaves the relationship and the person still suffers. But did you love him? Yes, I loved him. I loved him very much. But he didn't meet your needs, did he? He didn't. It doesn't matter what kind of love it is. In a separate video, I can break down what this kind of love is, this neurotic love, as you might call it. What is love, really? Look, what do we have in our courses? Things like this happen in my courses. First, we work through needs. We work through these expectations. We work through persistent hysteria. We work through the helpless little child. We work through the inner child who is helpless, who creates suffering, who doesn't create love but is responsible for suffering. We restore self-esteem. We work through fears. We work with memories. We work with unfulfilled plans for the future. We erase resentments and feelings of guilt. We work with all of this. Did I just list suffering or did I list love? Only memories can be related to love, that's all. Everything else is suffering. By memories, I mean pleasant memories, shared ones. And everything else is suffering. We work with suffering, and then we reach the final stage where we have I miss you, I love you, and also I regret as an extra. Regret is also suffering. At this stage, we finish off the suffering. But why do I miss you and I love you still remain as charges? Can you tell me, please? The suffering is already gone. Those who have worked through this know what I mean. The suffering disappears. I accept that the person has left for someone else. By the way, we work through this as well. That the person is with someone else and they're happy. We remove this too. We work through our own reaction. The fact that they're with someone else now, that's their problem. But what does my suffering have to do with it? Why should I have to suffer because of this? That someone else will be raising my children. Why should I have to suffer because of this? Why the suffering? Yes, it's there automatically inside the person because you've had this experience. Now I'll explain what suffering is in more detail, in case that's not enough. So you understand that the intensity of suffering doesn't depend on suffering itself, or on love, or on the strength of love. It depends on the very nature of suffering itself. That's what determines its level. And love is just love. Once you've worked through your suffering in the course, what remains is the feeling of love. What's going on here? Why does love remain? You've removed the suffering, but the love is still there. Can love exist without suffering? Yes, it can. When I conducted experiments, that's what I did. I got rid of all the worries, fear of losing, fear of what would happen to the other person. And a few others, I don't have too many of those issues. And that's it. So what happened? The feeling of love remains. Love is not suffering. Suffering is suffering. When people say, oh, well, you didn't really love, yes, someone will say no. You just didn't really love, that's why you didn't suffer. How do you know the level of my love? You don't know that at all because you live inside this. Love and suffering are on the same scale. No, they're completely different scales. That's suffering and adequacy over there. Those are the same scales. Inadequacy, adequacy, suffering, adequacy, love, hate. Let's say, for example, that's polarity or love, not love. I love, and here I don't love. That's a completely separate mechanism, separate from suffering. Hear me out. You don't have to believe me. You don't have to take all this on faith. Just think about it yourself. Why is it that people who have walked through the course and reached the final stage can still feel love? What's that about? Does love really depend on suffering? Number. And if you walk through love, will suffering remain? Yes, it can remain. We remove the feeling of love for a person. You can even do it this way. Just keep hitting that feeling of love today, tomorrow. But the suffering from the breakup remains. Why? Because there are personal fears. What kind of personal fears? The fear of being alone, for example. The fear of being unwanted, for example. Where is the love in that? Is there any love here? So all of this is an illusion, and it's all just maybe faith in authoritative psychologists. That's it. We need to reason things out. Let's use our heads. Let's think, and for that, we need our mind. We have a mind, and the rational part of the mind is the first mind. The mind. What is the mind? It's experience. It's what we've accumulated. These are the sufferings. We've accumulated this experience. You've inherited it from your parents. You've picked it up from movies, from various videos, from music videos, from songs. You've absorbed it from literature. You've taken it in. So from here, from books, from drama, you've accepted all of this. You've seen how it all works, right? And you think that's how it should be, that if you break up, you have to suffer. Unfortunately, this works automatically. Of course, it's impossible to just say, oh, well, Alexey, I get it. All the suffering is gone now. No, it won't just disappear. These are programs that are written into you. All these programs need to be removed, changed, eliminated. So what procedures will you use for that? But love is love. It's a separate element. I know people who have broken up and the love remains. There's no suffering at all. That is, there's acceptance of the person, of their choice, of changes in plans, changes in opinions. After all, at its core, it all starts with your own lack of acceptance. Yes, our lack of acceptance kicks in automatically. I don't accept this scenario. And with that lack of acceptance, the whole spectrum of these feelings loads in all the suffering. Love and suffering are not the same thing. So, well, I don't know, spread this knowledge? Yes, I understand suffering is a heavy thing, but you have to work through all of it. Get rid of it all. Is suffering really the whole point of life? Come on, were you really born here just to suffer? Well, without suffering, you won't feel pleasure. You will. You can be at peace. If you need to get a thrill to get your fix, you can fall in love. You can eat something sweet. You can go to a disco, visit a museum, or go on vacation. But you remain at peace the whole time. And when you encounter something that brings you pleasure, you enjoy it. What does suffering have to do with it? Why suffer? To hurt yourself and those around you? What is the point of suffering? To support the pharmaceutical industry with antidepressants, antipsychotics, tranquilizers? To give them the means to exist, to justify this production? Why suffer? Suffering happens automatically. I understand everything. That's what courses are for. Take courses, work through it. It's not just my courses that help you get rid of suffering. There are courses that go right to the very core. But why are you here at all? Why? What meanings do you have? What ideas do you have? I have such courses too, but there are other authors with their own methods. Get rid of suffering. There's no point in suffering. When you suffer, that's when you realize that the person was dear to you. To simply understand, without suffering, that no, you can't do that. You can do it without suffering. Get rid of suffering. Understand that the person was dear to you. Is it possible to get the relationship back? Then get it back. Is it impossible to get the relationship back? That's it. That's why love does not equal suffering. Suffering is inadequacy, and love is love.